Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving into something that is a huge shift in how we think about and use computers. We are moving from a world where computers are just passive tools to one where they're active, intelligent partners. We are talking about AI agents.
Okay, so here's the game plan. We're going to start with the basics, what really separates an agent from other AI, then we'll peek under the hood to see how they think, we'll check out the different types of agents, see where they're already popping up, and then we'll wrap up by tackling the really big ethical questions that come along with all this power.
So let's get right to it. The single most important idea to get your head around with AI agents is this massive leap from just automating tasks to true autonomy. And believe me, this isn't just some fancier program. It's a whole new category of software. So what is an AI agent really? Well, at its core, it's a piece of software that can look at its environment, think about what it sees, and then act completely on its own to get something done for you. But the magic word, the one that changes everything, is autonomy. See, we give it a big picture goal, like plan my vacation to Tokyo, and it figures out all the little steps itself, booking flights, finding hotels. You don't have to tell it how to do any of that. This chart does a great job of laying out the evolution here. You see, way over on one side, you've got your basic bots. They're just reactive. They follow a strict set of pre-programmed rules. Then in the middle, you have assistants like Siri or Alexa. They're helpful for sure, but they're still waiting for us to tell them what to do. But then you get to the far end, and that's where agents live. They are proactive. They don't just sit around waiting for a command. They actually take the initiative to move toward a goal. I love this analogy because it absolutely nails it. For decades, we've had to micromanage our computers, telling them every single step. Agents, though, they usher in what's called an intent-based model. We just tell them what we want, the final outcome, and we delegate the how entirely to them. It's a complete game changer for how we get work done.
So how in the world does this all work? How does an agent actually think for itself? Let's pull back the curtain and look at the architecture that makes all this autonomy possible. Pretty much everything an agent does can be boiled down to this simple but incredibly powerful loop. First, it perceives its environment, maybe by reading text you type or looking at data from a camera. Next, its brain decides on the best move to make based on that info and its ultimate goal. And finally, it acts. It executes that move, maybe by sending an email or running some code. And this cycle just keeps going. Perceive, decide, act over and over, which lets it adapt to new information in real time.
And what's powering that loop? Well, it's these key parts. The brain is typically a large language model, think something like GPT, which handles all the reasoning. The blueprint is its planning module. That's what breaks a big, fuzzy goal down into concrete steps. Memory is absolutely critical, both short-term memory for what it's doing right now and long-term memory so it can learn from experience. And finally, you have the toolbox, which is just all the tools it can use, things like accessing the internet or running a program.
Now, it's super important to remember that not all agents are the same. Just like in the animal kingdom, there's this whole spectrum of complexity. You can almost think of it like an agent family tree, starting with the simplest little guys and evolving into these highly advanced learners. All right, so at the very bottom of the ladder, we have this simple reflex agent. This thing is pure stimulus and response. It runs on super basic if this, then that rules. It sees something and it reacts. That's it. It has zero memory of what happened even a second ago. A smart thermostat is the perfect real-world example. It doesn't remember if your house was cold 5 minutes ago. It only cares about the temperature right now. If that number drops below 20 degrees, boom, the heater kicks on. Simple, effective. But you can see how limited that is. Okay, now we're taking a big step up. A goal-based agent is proactive. Instead of just reacting to what's happening this instant, it actually thinks ahead. It can imagine different future scenarios and then plot out a whole sequence of actions to find the best possible way to reach its goal. Think about it. When you put an address into your GPS, it doesn't just say, okay, take the next right. No way. It's already looked at thousands of possibilities to map out the entire route from where you are to where you're going. That is goal-based thinking in a nutshell. And right at the top of the food chain, we have the learning agent. This is the one that actually gets smarter over time. Its skills aren't fixed when it's built. It's designed to constantly adapt and improve based on its successes, its mistakes, and the feedback it gets from you. And you use these every single day without even thinking about it. Your Netflix or Spotify recommender? That's a classic learning agent. It's literally watching what you watch, what you skip, what you add to your playlist. It's learning your specific taste, and it uses that knowledge to get better and better at guessing what you'll love next.
Look, this isn't some far-off science fiction fantasy. These agents are already out there, in the wild, and they're woven into our lives in ways you might not even realize. I mean, right in your home, you've got assistants like Alexa and vacuums that are mapping your floors. In the business world, they're running customer service and making global supply chains more efficient. For fun, they're recommending your next binge watch and creating incredibly smart characters in video games. And in healthcare, this is amazing. They're helping doctors analyze medical scans to spot diseases earlier and more accurately.
And that brings us to probably the most critical part of this whole conversation. Because the very thing that makes these agents so powerful, their autonomy, is also the source of their greatest risk. This is what we call the autonomy paradox. It forces us to ask this massive question. If an agent messes up, if it denies someone a loan unfairly or causes an accident, who's responsible? Is it the person who used it, the programmer who wrote the code, the company that deployed it? How do we make sure an agent's goals are actually aligned with our human values? These are huge questions with no easy answers.
And this isn't just a what-if scenario. This really happened. A few years back, Amazon had to scrap an AI recruiting tool because it taught itself to be biased against women. And why did it do that? Because it was trained on 10 years of resumes, which were mostly from men. The agent didn't mean to be biased, it just learned and then supercharged a prejudice that was already hidden in the data.
So how do we deal with these kinds of risks? Well, there are two main strategies for keeping humans in control. The first is called human in the loop. This means the agent has to stop and get a human's okay before it does something critical. Think about an AI helping with a medical diagnosis. The second is human on the loop. Here, the agent acts on its own, but a human supervisor is always watching and can jump in at any time, which is how a lot of content moderation works. Both are about making sure a human is ultimately accountable. And that's really the key takeaway. The point of all this isn't to replace people, it's to augment us. These agents are being built to handle the tedious, complex, data-heavy work, which frees us humans up to focus on the things we're uniquely good at, like creativity, big picture strategy, and, of course, providing the moral and ethical compass to guide them. So as we stand here at the beginning of this incredible new era of human-agent teamwork, the final question we have to ask isn't just about making them smarter, it's about making them better. How do we build these powerful new partners with the foresight and the values to be not just smart, but to actually be wise? That is the challenge and the opportunity that lies ahead for all of us.